Yeah.
I can tell you this, Dr. Renfro, you are fabulous. I have so much for you.
Today is August the 8th, 2017. This year is slipping away quick. Excited to be here today. Michelle, I identify a quorum. We have 6 out of 7 members here. Ms. Teresa Grant is on business in Washington State, and we wish her safe travels. And I think the appropriate way to start this business is start with an invocation with Mr. Johnston and pledge allegiance with Mr. Sutton. Can we all stand? Yes.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, we come to you today seeking your guidance to best serve the students and people of Johnston County. Lord, as the summer break ends, we pray every student makes it safely back to school, and we thank you, Lord, for watching over the students at South and West Smithfield who have already returned to school. Lord, we say a special prayer for the safety of our bus drivers, and please watch over them and the students they transport each day. We realize there is so much to do for the upcoming school year, but we want to thank and worship you for what you've already done for us here in Johnston County. Lord, as we discuss a budget that is millions of dollars, let us be reminded that this money is yours, God, and without your blessing and favor, we will not prosper. We also pray that if someone doesn't know you, Lord, that they seek and they find you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You said it right.
That's right, you did say it right.
I would ask if you have cell phones, please put them on silent. As we go through the meeting, there's no public comments. I would like the board to offer a motion for the approval of the June 13th, 2017 regular session minutes. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Smith, second by Mr. Sutton. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Adjustment to the agenda, Dr. Renfro.
I don't have anything this week, but you said there was one out there.
I think there is, and no other board members have an adjustment. We're all gonna let Mr. Johnson take Teresa Grant's advisory board appointments in section 5, 6, 7, and section 5. That's the only adjustment that we have. Entertain a motion for the adjustment.
So moved.
All those, second,
Second.
motion by Todd Sutton, second by Ronald Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Comments from board members, starting with Mr. Johnson.
Well, thank you, Chairman. Thankful to be here and humble to be elected by the people of Johnston County. And it's been a very busy summer. And I think the most important thing I've done this summer is speak with a lot of teachers and students in Johnston County when they're on their off time during their summer break. And fortunately for us, that many of them don't take a break. They keep working. I know a lot of my friends at West Smithfield, when they were on their shorter break, they continued to work, doing things, preparing for the upcoming school year. So we are certainly thankful for them. A quick shout out, for lack of better words, to a couple of my friends, new friends that I've made who've reached out to me, and I was fortunate enough to take them out and find out some of their concerns, and that's Mr. Josiah Edwards, Ms. Harback, Mr. Billy Moorhead, and a couple students from Clayton High School, kind of getting them involved. They're eager to help and eager to do things to improve Johnston County. I've hired a couple of them to work at the driving school, and that would be Miss Kimber Blackburn would be one, and I actually was fortunate enough to get asked to lunch by a couple of Clayton High School students last week and to tell me about some of their concerns and what they want to do for the school system. So Reza and the rest of you guys at Clayton High School, I certainly do appreciate you. One of the favorite things that I do is work with kids on safer driving. And this summer I've had the pleasure of teaching over 200 students in a safe driving class. It's just been a busy summer, but I certainly do love it. And we'll be working with a local media outlet to do a texting and driving campaign for awareness, because this is one of the things that certainly causes a lot of injury and a lot of property damage that our students are falling victim to. So hopefully I can have more to report on that in September. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Dr. Smith?
Thank you, sir. It's been a while since we've been together, and it's good to be back and starting our new year. First of all, shout out to Laura Makey and her staff. Today was wonderful. She involved all the stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, and the fact that her teacher was a special ed teacher spoke volumes, as well as the administration being engaged. Her process for deciding the vision for next year is exemplary and one that should be emulated. I had several Johnston County Public School speakers come to my class to talk about different grade levels, special needs, and even pre-K. Thank you to Bennett Jones, Ron Anthony, Kenneth Bennett, Chris Kennedy, Anna Millet-Zotto, and Doyle Woodall, who all came and shared their expertise. People were impressed with all of Johnston County's employees. I had the privilege of teaching a couple of workshops for Johnston County Public Schools, elementary and secondary. WRAL did a really nice job covering those events and showing the excitement of teachers and leaders for this coming year and for the JOCO 2020 vision. But I want to thank Dr. Renfro personally because he gave his days to come and conduct roundtable discussions with teachers and practiced what he's preaching about engagement. And that is what a leader does. He models what we expect, and I thank you so much for doing that. It was a wonderful occasion on both occasions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Dr. Smith. Butler Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Enjoyed being at South Smithfield today. I gave Dr. Price sort of a history lesson over there. I don't know if he took notes or not, but you did. Okay. But when that school opened years ago, I was in the 6th grade, and my 6th grade class, we were the first class in that school with not Dr., but Mr. Carlton Daltrey, who was my 6th grade teacher. What a guy. He was a later assistant superintendent. He was probably my idol, and one of my idols anyway, and the way he smoked cigars made me want to try it. I wasn't the man he was. But I was really impressed with South Smithfield today with Ms. Mackey and the things that she and her teams are doing over there to include each and every student in the making learning available to each of them. I enjoyed being there. Good to be back.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Vice Chair Johnson?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm a lot like Mr. Hall, and I want Dr. Renfro to time me because I don't want to go over.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it right here.
You got it? Okay.
You on the clock?
I'm on the clock. I just want to say that we were at South Smithfield today. It was, I called it the best kept secret. Mm-hmm. It was a wonderful day with the principal, the teachers, and the students were just fabulous. I can't say enough about them. And of course, the presentation was very good. And they are going to show Johnston County some things. And I think the same thing will happen in Cooper with Cooper in the coming this year. It's going to be one wonderful year for those schools. So I just wanted to just say that about that group of people. Other than that, I've had a great summer and had a lot of work to do in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. I went there quite a few times to take care of some things. That's my home. And I'm glad to be back.
Glad you're back.
Glad to have you back. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Sutton?
Well, it's been a great summer, busy summer, but enjoyed it very much. But you can tell the school year's back because calendar is starting to fill up quite frequently. But I would like to say I am so excited to see what South Smithfield's doing over there. The lunch today was awesome. Miss Makey and her staff, and just seeing these kids energized and excited about school and taking ownership in South Smithfield Elementary, and just as polite could be today. And they feel a part of the school rather than just the school being a part of their everyday life. They feel it, and you could tell. And had the pleasure of going to the summer graduation last week. I believe it was about 30 students that graduated, and you know, as the speaker said, and then Stephen Baker ended it with, they had grit because they were determined to finish what they started, and some students decided other things, but these kids kept forward and moved forward and graduated. So that says a lot about them, and I wish them well in their endeavors. And then the back to school bonanza at South Smithfield Friday night was awesome. Teresa and I got to put on a cape and do a little superhero, and actually today my next hero name was the Bot, the superhero. So just wish my prayers with each and every student, staff member, bus drivers, anything in the a part of Johnston County Public Schools, as they've already started school at 2 and the rest of them starting in this month. My prayers that everybody remains safe throughout this upcoming school year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
Mr. Wooten.
Yes, ma'am.
I forgot to mention how clean South Smithfield was.
Yeah.
And that just needs to be said. It
I
was
think
wonderful.
you were walking the hallways and you could see your face in the hallway, and that's pretty awesome. How old is that school, Dr. Renfro?
I don't know, but for Mr. Hall to be in the
I was
sixth
there when it
grade.
started, so it's old.
1776.
It was 1639, I think.
To facility services and Mr. Sanders. What's Mr. Sanders' first name? Terrence Sanders. He prayed for us today, and what a wonderful prayer.
Wonderful.
I felt like I was at church, and it's something that we need to do more often. Ms. Mackey's got it going on in South Smithfield. Nothing like feeling the relationship, innovation, and relevance in action at South Smithfield. You walk into schools, and it's not the traditional student sitting in a desk listening. It's interaction and flex seating and couches and bouncy seats and bean bags, and I don't think there's a classroom we went by today that there wasn't something going on in that class.
Yeah.
I mean, they were interacting. It was not sit and listen. All the children were interacting, and that's refreshing to see. And you could cut the passion in that school with a knife, and children can see when teachers love them and see the passion in their eyes, and it just opens up the mind to learn. It's just great. I mean, I could have stayed there all day. I would like to shout out to all the schools and the students that are traveling back and forth to the schools for athletic events, and the many teachers that are going and getting their classrooms ready. We're excited about an upcoming year. I want to thank the board members and the finance committee and policy committee for working all summer to find the dollars and appropriate them in the right places. Although this, it's getting stressful to be able to put the dollars where they need to be, but it's also getting stressful keeping all the policies where they need to be to adhere to law. So there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes from these board members sitting up here today, and I wanted to, and the senior staff that has to be involved with all of that and working all summer. I just thank everybody for the hard work that you do to make this school system ready to kick off in the next couple of weeks. And with that being said,
I'm going to say one thing.
yes, ma'am.
I was mentioning the fact that the principal at South Smithfield, Ms. Mackey, is a graduate of Triple S High School.
1986.
She told me. I
Go
just want to
Sparks.
mention that.
Next on the agenda is advisory board appointments, and I'll start off with Mr. Sutton on my left.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of appointments at Glendale Kinley Elementary, Cole Yarborough Principal. Reappointments of members Nixa Lee Rose and Angela Fortson for 3 years each, term to end in June 2020. And then new member appointment of Brooke Smith to replace resigning members' term for 1 year, term to end June 2018.
Thanks, Mr. Sutton. I'll let that be our motion. And Vice Chair Dorothy Johnson.
Okay, I have one from Riverwood Elementary School. Excuse me. New board appointment for a 3-year term, Lisa Tuff. And that's through, ends in June 20th. And Cooper has 3. I thought I had 2, but I got 3. We have, no, I'm sorry, it's 2. Reappointment of member Michelle Capazzi for a 3-year term also, and that ends June 20th. And new members appointed for 3-year terms is Dr. Andrea Williams, Cheryl Williams, Eric Schmatter, and Rebecca Dawson for 2020.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson. That'll be our second. And Butler Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Advisory Council at 4 Oaks Elementary is requesting the reappointment of members Tina Winborn and Deanna Lassiter for 3 years each, terms to end in 2020. And Ms. Mackey at South Smithfield and her advisory council are asking for the appointment of new member Mark Lane, his term to end in June 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Dr. Smith.
Yes, sir. The Advisory Council and Principal Braden Leonhardt is recommending Lee Adams for a 3-year term ending June 2020.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At Riverwood Middle School, Principal Jamie Stoke and the Advisory Council recommend appointment of Lisa Lee for 3 years, and that term to end in June of 2020. And at Swift Creek Middle School, Principal Carrie Evans, the transfer of former Cleveland Middle Parent Advisory Council member Mr. Barry Lee to Swift Creek Middle Parent Advisory, and Mr. Lee's daughter will be transferring to Swift Creek Middle. The term would end in June of 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. That's our advisory board members. We already have a motion from Mr. Sutton, a second from Vice Chair Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0 for all the advisory board appointments. Dr. Renfro.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things before we go into our consent items. I know a couple of you were discussing the mission, vision, and values on the wall. We wanted to get that up for you today, even though that's not the permanent one that will be in this room. Just to give you some kind of indication of what we'll be putting up in our schools based on the work that we've done the last year and a half. But pretty much, if you remember when the Advanced Ed Accreditation team came in back in October, one of the questions that they asked repeatedly was, you hadn't changed your mission, vision, and values since 2004. And so as we went through that reflective process of just doing some updating that you've all signed off on, but our vision, mission, and values aligns with our JOCO 2020 initiative now. And so there's symmetry there, and Ms. Gill and her crew will be getting these up in the schools over the next several weeks. And so just wanted to make you aware of that, as well as adding public to what we have here in the boardroom. We're pricing so that we can do this as cost-effective as possible. Don't forget that we are live streaming again today. It is not widespread as it was back in June because of the technical difficulties that we did encounter. But we're still doing our best to enhance and enable that feature so that our public can live stream these meetings in real time. In our current format, the microphones are up on the podium, and we can work to get those down, but in order to get them down, we have to engage the push to talk button. So that's something that we can have continued conversation about later on today. So just want to update you on those particulars as we're moving forward. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I will ask that our board approve consent items 6A1A through 6A1P.
Yeah, board members, you had an opportunity to look at all these consent items. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Todd Sutton,
Second.
second by Ronald Johnson. Any questions with consent items? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, sir. As Dr. Price makes his way up, and I think somebody would mention this later in the program today, I know you all have received invitations to our convocation next Wednesday. Hope that you'll be there. Some exciting announcements on that day, and just, having all of our employees there, be a big crowd, and want to be able to interact with y'all and introduce you to the folks that you lead each and every day, so that they can thank you for what you do, and we can thank them for what they do. So please, if you have questions about that, we'll be glad to answer them. Dr. Price, you the man.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, and Mr. Jim Lawrence. Today I have 6 items. 2 are information items, and 4 of the items are action items. If you will notice in your packet, Exhibit 6B1 is a description of the success of our summer reading camp. This is an information item. Summer reading camp is an additional educational opportunity outside of the instructional calendar provided by the local school administrative unit to any 3rd grade student who does not demonstrate reading proficiency, and/or any 1st or 2nd grade student who demonstrates reading comprehension below grade level as identified through the administration of formative and diagnostic assessments in accordance with General Statute 115C 83.6. As I said, this is an information item, but I wanted to direct your attention to a brief presentation to give you some highlights of this summer's reading camp. So I wanted to include for you the statute that identifies that the goal of the reading camp is to get all students to be proficient by grade 3. And the requirements, how do 3rd grade students show proficiency? There are multiple ways. The beginning of grade test, local assessments, and we use iReady, and the cut score has been determined as 537 or higher. M-Class, which is provided by the state, and that is a level P or higher. A portfolio that shows proficiency in the 12 standards, or 70% of the standards. The end-of-grade test, a read to achieve assessment, or good cause exemption if the student is EC, an English language learner, or has been retained 2 times. This year we had 282 students who qualified in the 3rd grade to attend reading camp. We had 3 sites, Cooper, Four Oaks, and Selma. Of the 282 students who qualified, 202 attended. It was June 26th to July 19th. That's 4 weeks. And remember, we have eligible 1st and 2nd graders and, of course, the 3rd grade students. If you compile the total number, we had over 1,000 kids in reading camp this summer.
And we provide transportation for those.
Yes, we do.
That's great.
So for 1st and 2nd grade students, you can take a look at how we determine the eligibility of those students, but I want to focus on the fact that it is completely optional for 1st and 2nd grade students, and over 800 students came for 4 weeks to reading camp. We also have identified for you the 3 sites and then the feeder pattern. So we treat it just like a school year, and we draw boundary lines, and based on where the school is, and we bus kids into that area for reading camp. This is the curriculum that we used. It's been very successful. We do use Fountas and Pinnell and Foundations. Fountas and Pinnell guided reading with a comprehension element, Foundations for phonemic awareness and phonics lessons. It's very personalized and explicit. Every single kid gets what he or she needs in regards to reading. This shows you the site coordinator from the central level was Dana Miller, and the 3 administrators of the sites, Sean Bates, Ashley Radford, and Anthony Whitaker. And then you see the numbers of staff we used to operate the reading camps at 3 sites for over 1,000 students. Success rate this year is about what it was last year, which is still exemplar in the state. We have an opportunity on multiple occasions to talk about what we do at the state level with our summer reading camp. We had 47% of the students through one of the means that I addressed earlier who showed proficiency. So that means that there are 108 of the students who will begin the year in a transition class. So this transition class would be a class that is designed for the students to try to get them to proficiency in the third grade, but meet the fourth grade performance standards. So, what would it look like? It would be a 90-minute block of reading, 45 minutes of intense reading, research-based strategies used. And then, one question would be, multiple times throughout the first semester, a student will have an opportunity to meet proficiency, and that label would be removed. And as I explained last year, if the student doesn't meet proficiency, then the label, but they can still pass their grade based on their fourth grade performance, the label would stay, but they would be promoted to the next grade. So that is a possibility. Some students did not meet the third grade reading proficiency standards, however, performed well enough to pass the fourth grade and meet standards. So the label would be removed and they would be promoted.
I also see the need, what Ms. Mackey was talking about today, the use of a community engagement person on their staff to address what they could do at home on top of what we can do for them in the classroom to help them
And I think that is a
grow,
great,
yeah.
that's something that's an awesome idea, simply because I think all of us who have talked to parents, and I'm a parent, and the curriculum changes. And so with literacy, it's not a matter sometimes of not being willing, it's not knowing what
Right.
to do to help.
And then a lot of
so-
the parents don't have the means to get to the school.
Correct.
And when we have a community engagement person that might be attached to that school, could go to their neighborhood or community center or wherever they can meet and engage those parents of what they need to do at home to help their students, meet that gap. So,
Excited to hear too that in her presentation of what the parents and the stakeholders had discussed as some focus areas, that foundationally literacy is, that's the starting point in everything that you do. So it was exciting to hear that.
yeah, it was.
Also, Mr. Price, Dr. Price, I was in pediatric office this morning, and I had a pediatrician tell me that perception that they're seeing with parents right now is that they're talking to them about where the pediatrician's talking to them where their child is in school. But the perception from the parent is, well, the school needs to take care of the education from the parents. So this engagement person can help out tremendously with letting them understand hey, we're going to do as much as we can here, but here's what you need to work on at home to make sure that they go in the right direction. So I was very excited to hear about it as well.
Dr. Price, just to segue, as we've gone through a reset, we have a chief of communication and engagement. And we recognize the need to engage our families and community. And what Ms. Mackey was talking about with South Smithfield, it could be a collaboration between South Smithfield and West Smithfield, but bigger than that, it could be a pilot for all of our Title I schools as we seek to have authentic engagement with our families and the community. So we just hope this is the tip of the iceberg for solving some of those opportunities that you just discussed.
Information item, sir.
Any more questions before we move on to the next information item? Thank you, Dr. Price.
Item 6B2 is a description of the process of our Innovation Academy at South Campus. Just wanted to take a few moments to let you know where we are in regards to that transition. The following slides provide the new school logo, school values, student selection, statistics, and staff development. Also included are projects being conducted to the physical school structure. And if you take a look at the first slide there, you see that as noted before, these are the pioneers, and what you'll see in the background is the eagle that remains consistent with the history of South Campus, the hawk. I apologize, the hawk. I'm surprised that Ms. Johnston,
He was already
she was
giggling
giving
at
me grace. She didn't look at me. I was thinking about Cooper Eagles because you know I am from Cooper.
Right.
So the Hawks at South Campus, and I appreciate the fact that you did give me grace, but thank you, Dr. Renfro, for catching that. It is the Hawks. I was at the wrong school. What they determined as a staff was empowering creators to change the world. And the staff looked at, putting legs to this, giving a description of what this would mean for students. And so they came up with some characteristics that they want to make sure that their students illustrate and embody. And so this is a logo that you will see when you hear of the Innovation Academy at South Campus. I wanted to give you some statistics to the students who applied and were accepted. It gives you an idea of where the students came from. So you can take a look of the 109 students, the general area along I-95, but there were some other students who qualified as well from other areas, so we did allow some other students because they met the criteria. And remember, the criteria, we wanted to make sure that we were looking at first-generation college attenders. And 81% of the school was made up of first-generation college attenders. And it's 52 male, 57 female, minority, it's about 50%. And one important factor to note here is that the proficiency rating is at the school for math and English language arts around 61, 64%, which is comparable to what the average of our district is for those grade spans. And that's important to note because it's not that they're taking students who are high achievers necessarily. These are students who meet the criteria of the application and not necessarily those who are there who are the AIG students. So that gives you an idea of the profile of the student who's there.
This is just 6th grade this year,
6th grade, yes, ma'am.
and then next year we'll add 7th, and
Yes,
then next year
ma'am.
we'll add 8. Perfect,
The
thank you.
goal is 100 each year.
That's right, thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
what was the selection process?
So they had an application process
Yeah.
that followed the innovative,
But you-
just like early college, middle college, CTLA. It's the same type of application. And so we advertised, parents applied mostly along the I-95 corridor. And so then there was a committee who selected based on the criteria on the application.
Okay, but what is the target audience?
We want to try to target students on the I-95 corridor whose parents
That's
did
what-
not attend college.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear.
These are some of the developments of the staff, and they've been working on a book study, understanding the 12 technological forces that will shape our future. All of them have gone through PBL training this summer, problem-based learning. They also volunteered 4 days of their own time for work days for staff development that came in this summer because they wanted to do some team building. At the first parent night of 109 applicants, 75 parent members attended. So 75 families were represented.
Wow.
And I know that Ms. Roberts was there, and I think that it was quite a success. The TLC, the teaching and learning coach, has already been engaged with the staff, working on integrating the curriculum and creating the PBL units. So they have been very busy this summer, making sure that the opening day is going to be successful for these students. And in addition, there's been a lot going on, and I don't know if Ms. Gill might want to come up and speak specifically to this, but I made a list of some things going on with the building. And so I think Ms. Gill would be able to talk about the things that are going on there.
First of all, I'd like to recognize Brooks Moore, who is our construction officer. He brings an engineer stamped with his great credentials. He is here, and this has been Brooks's project. this summer, and he has done a tremendous job. We are winding up the renovation, and just to give you a few items that we are doing with that renovation, this hallway, we're identifying one hallway for sixth grade this year down the center, and again, wanting to expand to the other hallways. And what we have done is we have demolished, little tiny rooms existed there, and with the flexible seating and the movement of the children and the progressive PBL units, we have opened up rooms to have large spaces for the students. So demolition and removal of old items, redirecting furniture to other locations, painting, carpeting, flexible seating, which is more in personalized type of furniture that can be moved, rolled around on wheels, completely a wireless situation for the students. We will have smart panels. Some of the things that we have had to do in addition to the demo of the walls and the cosmetic pieces is also go ahead and take time to update the electrical switchgear, which was in great need, which will service the entire site when we get to that point. Certainly, we have removed fencing, but we've also put key fobs on doors that is much more up to date, like we do in all of our other schools. Restriping the parking lot, updating some outside landscaping. NC Sound has gone in and done a very good upgrade to our technology infrastructure, which was needed. All of this we have done certainly to be mindful of our budget, and then upgrades to clearing some trees, making certain that this environment is very colorful with attention to the colors, the design, and the need for innovation. So you will see that the colors that you will see in a few weeks will be very different than what you've been accustomed to. So we have been hard and busy at work. We are looking, I believe, Brooks, to have a final punch list for this towards the end of the week. We are currently moving some office staff back in today. We have our Road Warrior crews there, all of them helping. And this has been certainly a collective effort to turn this around in about 6 weeks. So we are very excited and creating a great buzz in the community over in the South Campus area. So very excited. Innovative Academy is alive and well and ready to go.
Ms. Gill was out earlier this week, and one of the community members stopped by just to say, what's going on here? And she was able to give them a personal tour and answer some questions from someone who was probably in his 60s or 70s, just, hey, what's going on? So.
And we did invite them back for open house.
My question was, when will we be able to see all this stuff? I'm really interested in being able to.
Well, Ms. Roberts and her team is planning a dedication, just like we would for any other new school. So once we set that date, but we should be able to be in ahead of that time. We, we talk about the Innovation Academy, but, in our hearts, it's a lab school. Those 109 students that are going to be there this year, we're committing them that, hey, you're going to college, whether it's through IB or AVID, whatever, but you're going to college. But it's also the tenets of JOCO 2020 multiplied by 100, relationships, relevance, innovation. So I would hope at some point in time in the spring, maybe around February, that they would have a firm enough footing where other schools in the district could take teacher teams to see this is what we need to be replicating on the hallways of our schools. But we want to give the principal and his staff of teachers time enough to develop and build that culture. And so we really don't want to take other folks in there until, spring, but we certainly can get in there ahead of that time and even ahead of dedication if we so choose.
And another question. It's been mentioned several times there'll be 109 students when school starts.
Yes, sir.
What was the maximum number that we could have handled and got done what we are looking to get done with those?
Well, knowing that we're gonna grow at 6, 7, and 8 over the next 3 years, looking at capacity numbers, somewhere around 300 was what we were
Okay,
targeting.
that's what I was thinking.
Because the work that we're doing to the facility, we didn't have the necessary funds to do it all at one time this
Right.
summer, so we're doing it in phases over the next 3 years. And so Ms. Gill and team will probably have to be going through some more of that stuff in the spring and summer to prepare for the next 100 students. And then again, in another part of the building the following summer, so that we can accommodate all 300 students.
And the TLC's still there?
The Therapeutic Learning Center is still on site, yes, ma'am. Now, we have moved it from South Smithfield to West Smithfield for the elementary folks, but it is still on site.
Good, thank you.
That's-
That's probably one of the most exciting things that's happened
It
in
is.
the school system
Yes.
for this group in a long, long time, and I'm excited where we're going with it. I appreciate everybody's hard work, and Brooks, it's nice to have you being a part of that. So we appreciate you being on the team, and I look forward to it. I'm excited to go see it myself.
too.
It's going to be a come and see model for not just all the stakeholders in this county, but for all the schools in this county, and I'm excited about it. I appreciate y'all's
I agree.
innovation.
I appreciate that we have a qualified person that's doing the work.
Yes.
That's, I mean.
Meaning Mr. Moore with
meaning
the
Mr.
engineer
Moore,
staff.
The engineering man.
Appreciate you
I
recognizing
apologize.
that.
I thought
She was talking about him.
Hey, I took my pen out.
Now, Dr. Price, give him a little bit.
That was an information item, and excited to hear that, Dr. Price. I appreciate that. But
Thank you.
now we'll move forward to an action item.
We have exhibit item 6B3. It is an action item, and it's the approval of some minor changes to our articulation agreement with Mount Olive. If you'll take a look at the exhibit sheet, the articulation agreement between Mount Olive University and South Johnston High School has received minor edits for the 2017-2018 school year. This articulation agreement reflects the enrollment of high school students in college courses known as the Ideal Academy at South Johnston High School. I've listed the minor changes. They're all semantics and deal with dates and/or title changes, adding the Johnston County Public Schools Board Chairman as Mike Wooten, changing the dates to 2017 and 18, changing the name of the Ag Academy to the Ideal Academy at South Johnston High School. So you can see those minor changes listed there. And I would ask that the board consider these and approve these changes in the language only for the articulation agreement between Johnston County Public Schools and Mount Olive University.
That was my question. Did we want to add public as one of the minor changes? We've got Johnston County Schools
And where was that?
in the title, University of Mount Olive, Johnston County Schools. Did we want to add public in each of those places?
It was changed in the articulation. It should have been. If not, I will make sure that William Weaver makes that change. Are you saying that is in the title of the articulation agreement or on the,
And Chairman, Johnston County Schools should be Johnston County Public
Got it.
Schools.
We need to follow through on those.
we'll make those changes. Thank you.
This is an action item for University of Mount Olive articulation agreement. I entertain a motion with the changes Dr. Smith has mentioned, and wherever there's Johnston County schools, needs to be Johnston County Public Schools. Motion.
Second.
Butler Hall, motion, Ronald Johnson, second. Any questions? If not, entertain a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Bryce?
Exhibit item 6B4 is an action item for the approval of the Title I funding. The U.S. Department of Education through North Carolina Department of Public Instruction grants each year an allocation of funds to meet the special needs of the economically and educationally deprived children. During the 2017-18 school year, Johnston County Public Schools will receive a Title I allotment of $6,549,640, which is approximately $800,000 less than what we received last year in federal cut. Attached is the draft of the application to continue these services for the disadvantaged children in Johnston County Public Schools. Ana Milazotto, who's with us today, is the Director of Federal Education Programs and authors the application. If you'll take a look at what I've pulled up, you may not be able to see it, but in your packet, I wanted to show you and explain a few things that, as we talked last year, because this was a topic of interest, we talked about a carryover issue that we were slowly depleting that carryover issue because of over allocation. And we worked with our principals and came up with a formula of a 15% cut to them for this coming year that would help us to rectify that issue and to balance the allocations. And we did not anticipate additional cut from the federal government, but what we have been able to do is to commit to what we projected last year with the 15% cut. So we have absorbed once again, and probably for the last time, in other ways to say it, we've kicked it down the can down the road one more time, one more year. Next year there will be a cut. And so what we're working on is trying to project out what that cut would be because of this $800,000 cut from the federal government. Now that is without considering that the federal government may cut again next year, the Title I allocation. So this coming year, the principals have already been notified that they will receive approximately the same amount that we projected for them this past spring with the 15% cut, regardless of what the federal government cut. So that's in the 3 slides that shows you what they received, what we have, what we received and what we've projected for each school, what they received last year, and then you can see what we told them in the spring, the projected 15% cut, so that you can compare to see that the only difference in that proposal from the spring and what they received or have been told they would receive, it would only be changed based on if they have less free and reduced students from last year to this year. So a reduction in students. So what we told them they would get, they have received unless they had less free and reduced students. And I will say that as a district, we have less free and reduced students from last year to this, from last year to this year. And I can only say that maybe it's economics, poverty in play, and not generational. And some folks
Can
are
you
back
put
at
that
work.
in a percentage of how much less?
I did not do a
Okay.
percentage, but
That's
there
okay.
were approximately it looks like 400 less, maybe 300 and something students less who qualified for free and reduced lunch population
Okay.
in the district. Out of about 8,000, it went from 8,548 to 8,166. In Title I schools, that's correct. In the Title I schools receiving the allocation.
And the 55% was the cutoff. We did not allow any schools below 55% to receive funds.
No, ma'am, there hasn't been a school added.
That's wise.
This is an action item.
It is an action item, and we're seeking approval of the allocation.
So moved.
Motion by Todd Sutton,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Dorothy Johnson. Any questions? I do have a big question. If they keep cutting, what are we gonna do?
She said cry.
I mean, this is the question I get asked a lot by not only stakeholders, but county commissioners, why you don't spend this and why you don't spend it. Well, money we don't spend goes to paying for teachers that the Fed and the state don't fund. And we have to find
Federally,
it,
I
yeah.
can't tell you exactly, I could get that for you, but we have been cut federal funds in every area. So, you know, it's difficult.
It's discouraging, is what it is. But that money's got to come from somewhere if we're gonna give the same level of education to the students across this county. We got to have teachers to teach the information. And it's frustrating to fight for funding, and we keep getting cut by federal and state and can't get local money. And that's just frustrating to me, but anyway.
Had somebody on the Board of Commissioners, it'd be nice.
But anyway, this is an action item. I'm getting off my soapbox here. We got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Exhibit item 6B5 is also an action item, and it's the approval of supplemental funding for language instruction for immigrant students.
That's right.
If you take a look at that exhibit sheet, the state of North Carolina uses data provided by the district to determine whether the LEA has experienced an increase of at least 1% English language learners and/or immigrant population as compared to the average of the 2 preceding fiscal years. So in order to be eligible immigrant students, the student would be born outside the U.S., be between the years of 3 and 21, and have been enrolled in the United States for 3 years or less. And if you take a look at that, we have been growing quite a bit each year in students who are born outside the U.S. and students who are between 3 and 21 and who have not been in the school system for more than 3 years. So we started in 2013 with 180 students and have grown to 407 students who qualify. So this is supplemental, and we received $12,706, and it's used for tutoring and instructional supplies for these 407 students. So the staff recommends approval of the Title III funds in this application.
$2,000 is it?
$12,706 for these students. The next exhibit item will show an additional supplemental fund. The overall fund, I believe, is around $2 million from the state for basic services.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yes.
that's not enough money.
This is an action item, Title III, Language Instruction for English Learners and Immigrant Students. You've heard the information. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Smith, second by Butler Hall. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Price?
Exhibit item 6B6 is an action item for approval of supplemental funding for language instruction for English language learners, including immigrant students. And this is PRC 104. The last exhibit item was PRC 111. So the local education agencies, or LEA, eligible to receive Title III funds must agree to spend these funds to educate English learners and immigrant students. We received $337,041, and Johnston County Public Schools use a variety of strategies and programs to meet the needs of English language learners, including ESL co-teaching, content-based ESL pullout, and sheltered instruction, or SIOP. The English as a Second Language program is supported by theories and strategies of Stephen Krashen, James Cummings, Virginia Collier, Deborah Short, Jane Echeverria, and Margarita Calderon. Program components were selected and adjusted based upon the evaluation of implemented strategies, available resources, student population and needs, and scientifically based research. As I said, state funds are used to provide basic services, and that's where we get the bulk of our funding. This is supplemental. Title III will fund supplemental personnel such as parent liaisons, program specialists, and pre-registration center staff. Personnel constitutes approximately 100% of this budget. Supplemental instructional supplies, parent involvement, and staff development will be funded by our carryover from 16-17. The mission of the Johnston County's English as a Second Language program is to assure that all speakers of other languages attain high levels of proficiency in English and achieve high academic standards according to the North Carolina standards and WIDA standards, which That's North Carolina Standards for Teaching English as a Second Language. The Title III project provides and supports strategies for administrators, parents, ESL, and content teachers for building the capacity of schools to meet the needs of English learners. The Title III project also includes identification, placement, annual assessment, and reporting of English learners. Our pre-registration center staff assists Johnston County Public Schools with students' registration and appropriate placement, parent outreach, and data collection for federal and state reports. The staff recommends the approval of this Title III application.
This is an action item for Title III English Language Instruction. You've heard the information. I entertain a motion. Motion by Dr. Smith, second by Vice Chair Johnson. Is this instruction all in school, or do we meet them some other place as well?
For the supplemental tutoring, do we go to the homes? Would that be classified in this since they're paid tutors?
For the other one, the immigrant funds, yes, we go
111.
to home and we go to different schools. This is basically supplemental to offer services for the families.
Okay,
And the employees of Johnston County Public Schools.
okay.
So this, I'm sorry.
And then next, in the migrant, we have home instructional,
That's what I figured.
and we do train parents.
So this is where South Smithfield might get their parent coordinator funding. Is that helpful in that regard?
Possibly.
We are actually receiving, should I answer that?
It come from, more likely it would come from Title I, but
Okay.
this could be a possible use.
So it is okay to do it from this fund, is what I'm asking. This fund can be used for parent liaisons.
It can be used only for English learners. So if we have,
It's
and
the
we have
English.
parent liaisons that serve the entire Johnston County.
Yeah.
That is the pre-registration center. But for schools, it would have to be Title I.
Thank you, thank you.
So that they could serve the
To all the parents.
total population.
And compliments to Anna Milzotto. She does such an outstanding
Great job.
job, and we appreciate your expertise in answering all our questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? We got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Price.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Loris Gill.
As Ms. Gill makes her way up, I think someone asked the question, what year did South Smithfield Elementary open? One of the great things about streaming live, somebody heard that and shared with Ms. Roberts, 1956.
I thought it was 1856.
He was,
Well, it's encouraging to walk into a school and see it in such good shape.
That's the truth.
Ms. Gill?
it looks good, though.
Good afternoon, Chairman Wooten, Vice Chair Johnson, members of the board, Mr. Lawrence, and Dr. Renfro. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon, and I have 5 items for approval and 2 for information this afternoon. Several of the items that I'll bring to you for approval today were items that you were able to provide me initial approval on in last meeting so we could move forward with printing our parent gazette. And we would just like to take these back through this afternoon for formal approval. The first item is Exhibit 6C1, Policy 4200, our Code of Conduct. This was revised to add item 38, a threat of mass violence on educational property, in August of 2016. At that time, the consequences stated that a student who made a threat or a false report shall be suspended for 365 days unless our superintendent recommended placement in an alternative program. Upon the recommendation of our board attorney and our policy review committee, it's recommended to change the consequences to a minimum of 10 days with long-term suspension possible when aggravating circumstances exist. Further, dependent upon the seriousness of this violation, the superintendent may recommend expulsion if the student is 14 years of age or older. This item is recommended this afternoon for approval.
This is an action item, Policy 4200, Code of Conduct. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Butler Hall,
Second.
second by Ronald Johnson. Any questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Second item I have today is Board Exhibit 6C2, Policy 2020 Parent Organizations. This policy was developed in 2005 and recently updated in 2016. New regulations and changes have arisen, and it's necessary to update our language. The policy has been updated to reflect minor word changes denoting the addition of our internal audit department and information about necessary steps in order to be a nonprofit. Upon recommendation of the Policy Review Committee and the Internal Audit Department, the revised 2020 is presented today for approval.
Policy 2020 Parent Organizations, you heard the information. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Todd Sutton,
Second.
second by Ronald Johnson. Any questions on parent organizations? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next item is Board Exhibit 6C3, Policy 2025 Booster Clubs. This policy was recently amended in 2015. Again, minor revisions have been noted in the policy to denote additional information that is helpful to the operation of our booster clubs. The policy adds tax exempts wording to item 1, and further, the policy adds the Internal Auditor's Department to the policy. Upon the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee and our Auditing Department, Policy 2025 is presented this afternoon for approval.
This is the action item, policy number 2025 Booster Clubs. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
by Butler Hall,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Dorothy Johnson. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Our next item is Board Exhibit 6C4, Policy 7240, School-Related Organizations Fund Management. This policy was amended in 2015. Minor adjustments have been made to reflect the addition of the internal auditor and to provide the word disbursements rather than limiting the method of payments to checks only. Upon the recommendation of Policy Review and our Internal Auditing Department, Policy 7240 is presented this afternoon for approval.
Policy 7240, School-Related Organizations. You've heard the information. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Todd Sutton,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Johnson. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
The next item I have is a proposed new policy, which would be Policy 2001, Board Exhibit 6C5. This is a proposed registered sex offenders policy. Johnston County Public Schools has adhered to North Carolina Statute 14-208.18, which details the prohibition of sex offenders on our school property. However, Johnston County Public Schools does not currently have a policy which provides guidance to our schools in regards to the enforcement of the policy and the certain exceptions, such as in the case of student sex offenders, voters, or parents. The policy provides guidance regarding any contractual personnel who provide services to our school system. Upon the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee, the proposed Policy 2001 is presented to the Board for information today.
This is an information item. Any questions on 2001, Policy 2001, sex offenders? Okay, thank you, Ms. Gill.
The next item is Board Exhibit 6C6. This is proposed policy 2002, registered student sex offenders. Johnston County Public Schools currently adheres to our general statute, but does not have a specific district policy in our manual. A policy would provide specific guidance to principals and school personnel when a student enrolls or is enrolled in the school system who is a registered sex offender. The proposed policy details the prohibited areas for registered sex offenders and the educational services provided for student sex offenders as per General Statute 115C-378. Upon the recommendation of our Policy Review Committee, the proposed Policy 2002 is recommended to the Board for a first reading today as information.
Any questions on Policy 2002? Okay. Ms. Gill.
The next item is Board Exhibit 6C7, which is Policy 4405, Use of Educational Resources. The current policy was last amended in 2015, and this policy states that a student must be enrolled full-time in order to be considered as an enrolled student in Johnston County Public Schools. The policy has been amended by the deletion of full-time and adding at least 1/2 of the school day. A half of a day in Johnston County Public Schools is defined by class periods for high school and by instructional minutes for elementary and middle school. Additionally, the policy has been amended to add that dual enroll students' participation in interscholastic sports and school activities is subject to applicable federal and state laws and Johnston County Board of Education policies and regulation. This policy provides multiple opportunities for students to access Johnston County Public Schools in several ways and formats, such as online, live streaming classes, as well as housed in the school building. Upon the recommendation of our Policy Review Committee, this policy is brought for a first reading. Due to exigent circumstances in students being able to enroll for the 2017-18 school year, it is recommended to allow Policy 4405 to be put into policy and be formally approved in our September board meeting. This item is recommended today for conditional approval.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask one of the board members if they would to make a motion pursuant to Board Policy 1500, number 6, for temporary approval of this policy based on the fact that the school will be starting and the enrollment issue needs to be addressed. And then we'll have, the board can have formal approval of the policy in the September board meeting.
You got that down, Ms. Michelle?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
I second it.
Repeat the motion.
No,
You terrible. You are terrible.
Whatever the board attorney said.
1500.
Motion by Butler Hall, second by Vice Chair Johnson. Any questions on the conditional approval of this policy?
Pursuant to policy 1500, was that
Right.
1500, subsection 6.
subsection?
Additional approval.
See, I wrote it down when he was.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My final item is from our operations side of the department, Board Exhibit 6C8. It's a facilities improvement update. Johnston County Public Schools continues to be very active in building and renovating the facilities in the district. Swift Creek Middle School will be having a final walkthrough, and the principal and office staff have moved into the school. Paving is complete, topsoil is spread across the site with grass beginning to cover the fields. Final furniture, cafeteria, and technology needs are being completed as we speak. LGC projects are moving forward with the completion of the Four Oaks roof on the Small Butterfly building, the Smithfield Middle roof replacement, and the renovation of our Clayton High School bleacher projects. The remaining projects are moving forward with contracts signed, pre-construction meetings, and the beginning of staging of equipment by the contractors. Johnston County Schools will be working with these multiple projects over the next 9 to 18 months. Chiller projects at Cooper Elementary, East Clayton, and Selma Middle are also moving according to the timelines and nearing completion. I'd like to also just again introduce Mr. Brooks Moore, who has been also helping to take over these projects to guide us as we move along, as well as Mr. Billy Massengill, who makes a tremendous team. And we would like to thank the Communication and Engagement Department for assisting us in the video update that you are going to see at this time.
Hey everyone! Not down here! Woo! That is so much better. The heat is on, and I am not talking about that 1980s song. It is a hot North Carolina summer. But you know what? That does not slow down Johnston County Public Schools from getting prepared for the upcoming school year. And that includes facility services upgrades. Isn't that right, Dr. Renfro?
That's right, Tracy. It's been a busy summer with construction here in the Johnston County Public Schools. The projects that we've been working on with our LGC are underway, but we want to give you an update on some of those that have been completed to date. Four Oaks Elementary was the first school we saw getting improvements to their roof. Now it is the first one we are reporting that is completed. Great job for the folks that helped us at Four Oaks Elementary. Clayton High School needed new bleachers not only for sports, but for all the community events they hold for the residents of the town. We're happy to report that now people who come to Comet Country will have brand new bleachers to enjoy watching their activities. When we last saw Smithfield Middle, their roof was leaking and causing disruption to the learning environment. But in a few weeks, students will be able to concentrate on learning thanks to the new roof. We're thankful that these projects are complete prior to the start of the school year. But remember, there are several other projects underway that will take the next 12 to 16 months to complete. But remember this as well, we are committed to a quality education for each student in Johnston County Public Schools, but above and beyond that, a quality facility as well. We want to thank the LGC, our county commissioners, and most of all, our Board of Education for making these things happen. Thank you all for all you do.
Now, if he had a cape on, he could fly right off.
That was
We got our own drone.
And I did want to say there's a little bit of disparity. I have said 9 to 18, we've said 12 to 16, but it's going to be a long time. Just want to let you know that we're going to be actively working, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. That's all I have for this afternoon.
Good job.
We know it's a work in progress, but it's all appreciated.
Yeah, I didn't get too close to the edge because I was with a group of teachers that morning, and I said, look, if y'all hear about the superintendent falling off the roof today and dying, I got pushed. So I stayed back a little ways.
Close to the edge.
That was smart.
Before we get Mr. Vetrano, Policy Committee, thanks for what you do.
You're welcome.
That's a lot of work, and Ms. Gill and Facility Service, thanks for what you do and the many things y'all do each and every day. And I know it's a 24/7 job, and we appreciate all that you're doing. This is a lot of work done by a lot of people, and we appreciate all your time you put in it. Mr. Vetrano?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, board members, Dr. Renfro, Mr. Lawrence. I have 2 items for you this afternoon. One is an action item. That's the first item. The second is just an information item. The first item, Board Exhibit Number 6D1, is the 2017-2018 calendar proposal for Restart Schools. As a reminder, those 2 schools are Cooper Elementary and North Johnston Middle School. North Carolina General Statute 115C 884-2 outlines the requirements for the development of the school system calendar. A school calendar must contain a total of 215 days. For the 17-18 school year, there must be either 185 student days or 1,025 hours, 10 annual leave days, and 11 holidays. The number of teacher work days are determined by the number of student days in the calendar. After seeking input from staff and parent advisory groups at these 2 schools, the attached calendar is presented to you for your consideration and approval. And I know this was sent to you earlier in the summer, but we wanted to make it official by having it at the board meeting today.
This is an action item, 2017-18 restart calendar. You've heard the information, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by
Second.
Vice Chair Johnson, second by Dr. Smith. Any questions?
Just a lot of hard work here, too.
Yeah.
Calendar
Yeah.
committee is a thankless but really hard-working committee.
Absolutely. Don't ever put me on the calendar committee, because that's a tough job.
You stay on that too when you get older.
Life.
Yeah.
Been on that for 20
The,
years.
the administrators
Superintendent
of
to
these
get
2
off.
schools actually put together a draft. They work with their community. And so Dr. Price and I actually just went behind and just checked to make sure they met all the requirements. But they deserve the credit for spending a lot of time working
Absolutely.
with their
Great job.
community
Appreciation.
parent groups.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Right.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The second item, just an information item, exhibit number 6D2, an employment update. Just wanted to share some information with you. We typically devote time at our September board meeting, and we will do that again this year to provide an in-depth presentation to you of our hiring efforts. But we always feel it's important to set aside some time in August just to let you know where we stand. Thus far on the certified side, we've hired 202 teachers, so a little over 200 teachers and support staff. Additionally, we've processed 189 transfers. Those are individuals that go from one school to another school or a department, and then 149 internal transfers. Those are position changes within schools. That may not sound like a lot, but when a teacher is in one position, even within one school, and they have an interest in going to another position, we have to make sure that they're licensed in that area before we allow that process to occur. And if they're not licensed in that area, we have to meet with them and determine what we need to do in order to get them licensed in that area if it's possible. So all of these changes require communication. Many of them require a lot of paperwork to be done. So there's a wonderful team that's out there making all of this happen. We do have about 70 teaching vacancies right now. If you compare that to last year, I think at the August meeting I shared with you we had 69 vacancies.
Yeah.
The year before that we had 79. So we're still faring better than we were 2 years ago, almost right in line with where we were last year at this time. Just a few weeks ago, that number was easily above 100. It seems like a few weeks ago I was meeting with the human capital team and we had 121 vacancies. So we are certainly making strides in reducing that number. However, in the event that there are some vacancies at the start of the school year, our principals do a fabulous job in reaching out to retired teachers, substitute teachers, so that when the students arrive, they are to have someone before them that will deliver quality information. That's always our goal.
Mr. Vetrano, is there a specific subject or vacancy teaching position that's always the toughest? What would that be?
Well, you hear this from other districts, and it's true for our district as well. Math, science, and EC. About 25% of our vacancies right now are in EC.
Okay.
So that, again, and that's the same with last year as well, that's an area that is harder to fill for us and other districts as well.
Thank you.
Concerning classified employment, we've processed 51 recommendations for new employees and 70 transfers. You combine all of those efforts together, and the Human Capital Office has handled more than 650 employment actions this summer.
Wow.
So far, and we're still hiring away.
How many vacancies, you've already answered that. The schools, will they be ready? You think they'll be occupied and ready for teachers, in the beginning of the school year? Do we
Our
have
goal is
schools that
always-
need teachers, in other words?
Right. Our goal is that we always have 0 vacancies.
Okay.
We would love to meet that goal. I think I shared with you last year, as long as I've been in human resources, human capital now, I'm not sure we've ever met that goal, but it's
I
still
don't
a
believe
great goal
so.
to
I don't
have.
believe so.
We are facing many challenges, as we've talked
Yeah.
about in past meetings, and we still face those. But we are certainly doing our best to continue to recruit. We have a new section in human capital now. We have 2 team members that will spend the majority of their time on recruiting, and not only just recruiting in general, but recruiting for diversity as well. Strengthening our partnerships with the universities so that we can increase the number of student teachers. That's an excellent way for us to recruit if we have those student teachers in our building. So we are, thanks to the reset that occurred, we have 2 members that will be solely focused on recruiting and developing our employees, so we're excited about that. But the 2 schools that have already opened, we went to one today,
Yeah.
South Smithfield. They only have 1 vacancy.
Okay, that's-
Spanish vacancy. And then West Smithfield, they only have 1 vacancy right now. It's in the TLC program, and it's my understanding that a recommendation has been made for that position.
Mr. Wooten asked about subject area. I've been hearing from people that elementary has surprisingly more, percentage-wise, more vacancies than secondary. Is that true for us?
Right now, they're about 50-50. I think the last time I looked, which was yesterday, elementary was slightly lower compared to middle and high school. But we are seeing that even with the elementary, it's becoming more difficult to find individuals that are already licensed in those areas. But we certainly, when we have a quality individual before us who has a desire to teach, and we have a principal who is eager to have them in the building, we do whatever we can to try to get them to become licensed so that we can employ them.
Well, thanks for what you and your staff do
Yeah.
too. I know it's a busy time right now.
You got a new title. What is that?
Chief of Human Capital.
I just want you to know I recognize that.
Well, thank you much.
Even though I'm used to, you know, the old title. I saw human capital, that's good.
Right, so that includes
And
the
you got
human
it in your-
resources team.
Yeah.
It also includes the wonderful finance team. Because
Okay.
all 650 of these employment actions that I mentioned, that requires also work for the payroll team. Because they
Right.
have to make sure that they enter all of these individuals, that they have them coded at the right school, that they have them in the right fund source so that they're paid appropriately. So a lot of work goes on behind the scenes when we hire just one person, but you multiply that times 650. A lot of
You're
hard work.
Chief
that
Human
individuals have
Capital,
done.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
With that report, was anybody have a problem with a 10-minute break?
I second the motion.
10-minute break.
See, I can get into this.
All right,
I know
Mr. Chairman,
if I get hungry during the day, I'll come by here.
bang away.
Reconvene and ask Crystal Roberts to
Good
take over.
afternoon. Chairman Wooten, Lady Vice Chair Johnson, and members of the board, and Dr. Renfro. We'll start with item 6E1 with your news coverage summary. And as I've shared with you in the past, our news coverage tends to, go to 100 or more articles and such per month. Because we are a news source here. So we always want you to be very much aware of the coverage that we're receiving. One of the things that I'd like to bring to your attention as well is that communication and engagement works very hard to interact with our media and share good news, as well as our community at large. So one of the things that we want to bring to your attention, and you'll see it on the exhibit sheet, are the ways that you can stay in touch and keep abreast of what's happening. Our video production staff works very, very hard to create our blogs and video production. And we also have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, Instagram, YouTube channel, and a blog spot. So if you would subscribe to those, as well as bookmark our website, that is a way for you to stay informed and also share with your neighbors and the community at large how to stay informed about the Johnston County Public Schools. Item 6E2 is your Save the Date. And of course, right around the corner is our very exciting convocation on August the 16th from 9 until 11. And our first day of traditional calendar schools is August the 28th. So we already have 2 schools in session, but our traditional calendar begins on August the 28th. And then we have Labor Day holiday in September and so forth. And so if you'll please save those dates, we'd appreciate it. We'd like to see you wherever and whenever we can. And then Chairman Wooten, your planning board documents.
Yeah, I do go to the planning board meeting every month with Johnston County. And it's kind of interesting, the number of lots that are being approved and subdivisions being approved each and every month. And with subdivision and lots creates housing, and with housing creates students, and we continue to grow as a county, not in schools, but in number of households, and that's causing a problem. So, Dr. Renfro and I have been talking about a stakeholder engagement sometime in October with ORED and several community stakeholders. It may be, I don't know all the stakeholders that would be invited, but possibly the commissioners and the mayors in the towns, just to kind of give them an idea of the growth and what we expect in the near future, what we need as far as schools. And I will say this, hopefully legislator will start talking about the $1.9 billion school construction bond across the state of North Carolina, and we would benefit greatly in Johnston County. And I'm not going to let the apple fall from the tree without pushing it. So us as stakeholders for Johnston County need to talk to you legislators in Raleigh to continue to push the $1.9 billion North Carolina construction bond, at least get it to the bond referendum so we can vote on it to help this county out and get us where we need to be as a county. And the teacher-student ratio is getting high in Johnston County. We need to be prepared for that. So with that being said, Ms. Roberts, your next item.
And we'll move on, and I will ask our Chief of Human Capital, Brian Vetrano, to provide for us our Employee of the Month recognitions. We need just one more moment before we get into student character recognition.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
It's me, I think.
It's always my privilege to stand before you and introduce our Employees of the Month for August. I will share with you just a moment before I bring each of them forward individually that These two individuals are not scheduled to report back to work until August 16th, and so we had to be careful in how we were trying to make them aware of this recognition. So they were asked to go out to their schools yesterday and meet their new principal and to sign paperwork, and I'm sure that they were just questioning maybe the paperwork, not so much meeting their new principal, but they did not realize that they were going to receive balloons and recognition. So we surprised them yesterday, and it was very nice to go out and see them at their schools, even though they haven't officially returned yet. We'll start with our Classified Employee of the Month, Ms. Christine Woodcock. If Ms. Woodcock will please come forward and join me. Ms. Woodcock serves as a teacher assistant at Polenta Elementary. She was nominated by a parent at the school, and the parent shared that Ms. Woodcock has been a teacher assistant in a self-contained class for children with autism for as long as her daughter has attended Polenta. Throughout this time, one person has remained consistent. That's Ms. Woodcock. The parent says, as a mom, I know how important it is for these children to have a consistent and attentive teacher who goes above and beyond to meet their needs. Working with special needs children is challenging and sometimes thankless for teachers and particularly teacher assistants. On top of teaching, Ms. Woodcock often comforts when there are meltdowns and helps them communicate. Most importantly, she gives parents a sense of comfort knowing our children are in a safe and caring learning environment. Ms. Woodcock, we appreciate what you do at Polenta. We thank you for coming in yesterday and being here today. And we also congratulate you for being our Classified Employee of the Month.
Thank you, ma'am, for all you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for all you do for children.
Thank you for what you do today. Greatly appreciate it.
I shared with you, I had some goodies for you. So, there's certificates, a keychain, and a gift card. Thank you very much. Our Certified Employee of the Month is Lisa Morgan. Ms. Morgan, if you'll please come forward and join me. Ms. Morgan served as the STEM teacher at McGee's Elementary last year and will now be serving as a 6th grade language arts teacher and webmaster at Riverwood Middle this year. Wow. She was nominated as Employee of the Month by 2 employees in our district. They had a lot to say, and I told her yesterday I'm going to have to pull out just a few of these sentences because I don't think I have enough time to read the 2 pages of information that was shared about you.
Wow.
Ms. Morgan is an amazing employee. She is a team player who is willing to work hard for the greater good. In addition to being a STEM teacher and her school's technology teacher, she is an exemplary webmaster who selflessly puts the needs of others above her own. As last school year came to a close, she was charged with migrating all of her school's website information to a new website platform and training all of her school's teachers on the product. This was a daunting task that every webmaster in the district had to face. All of this work had to be done before teachers went home for the summer. Lisa went above and beyond this added task. She had her staff trained and website built in enough time to be able to assist other schools in the process. She traveled to other schools to train teachers whom she had never met and worked on moving content for schools that she does not work for. Johnston County Public Schools operates as effectively as it does because of employees like Lisa Morgan. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. She was on my time. I was trying to get around here. I will tell you. Now let me thank you for what you do for us.
Thank you for what you do.
Well,
turn your attention back to our student character ed recognitions. And school began, as you know, for some students nearly 2 weeks ago. And we're pleased to kick off the school year with 2 from our South and West Smithfield elementary schools.
Ms. Roberts,
I'm
would you
sorry.
tell the parents they could come take pictures if they want to? For you? I'm
Yes.
sorry to
So,
stuff.
yes, it is hard. So what we would like for you to be welcome to do is come up and take pictures. Son or daughter.
Yeah,
And shake hands.
yeah.
All right. So we know that character education is a priority in the Johnston County Public Schools, and the character education trait for August is self-discipline, which means doing your best in all situations. So we have with us today, and I'll ask the South Smithfield Elementary School student to join me at the podium. Her name is Julietta Matute. And if you'll join me here, Julietta. Very nice to meet you. So I present to you Julietta Matute, who consistently shows self-discipline every day. She is a leader in the classroom and does what is expected without ever needing redirection. She is a hard worker and can always be counted on. With school just starting for the year-round calendar, Julietta truly stood out as the best student to represent South Smithfield Elementary School for self-discipline. She is a dynamic dolphin. And we'd like to present her parents, Eureka and Jacob Matute. Okay? And proud mom is taking pictures. And Julietta, if you will shake the board members' hands, they'd like to congratulate you.
Boy, shoot. Congratulations, you're a beautiful girl. Keep your good work.
Thank you, Juliet. I know everybody's dynamic, but you're dynamic today. Good job. Keep up the good work.
Congratulations, keep it up, okay? We're proud of you.
And I would be, if I did not recognize her fabulous principal, her dynamic principal as well.
Thank you.
Laura Mackey.
Very good.
You're welcome. From West Smithfield Elementary School, we have Jennifer Moran Acevedo. And if she'll join me at the podium.
Look at there.
So Jennifer is a wonderful student who is an independent learner. She is self-motivated and consistently gives 100% in every task that she is given. Jennifer can be depended on to make wise choices when others are off task. She is an example to her classmates in her academic subjects as well as her enhancement classes. Jennifer will excel in all she does because she has the intrinsic value of self-discipline. West Smithfield Elementary School is proud of Jennifer. And I'd like to introduce as well her parents, Norman Acevedo and Esquel Mora, and her principal is Sharon Bryant.
Congratulations, great job.
Love you, smile. Keep smiling. Thank you for what you do.
Congratulations, keep up the good work.
She's so talented.
Always uplifting to have our students with us.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, it's no secret how passionate we are about teaching and learning in the Johnston County Public Schools. So while many might think, as well they should be, there is some danger in resting on one's laurels. but that won't happen here in the Johnston County Public Schools. So keeping a school theme, we'd like to do a little bit more show and tell. It's important for us to practice the philosophy of nurturing a climate of support, encouragement, and acknowledgement among ourselves for work that gets results in the Johnston County Public Schools. After all, from part-time employees to teacher and custodian to principal and central office staff, everyone's job is to support and promote student success. So while student achievement reigns, those who are either behind the scenes or front and center should be told and should know how valuable they are to this school system. With this being said, we want you to put names with the faces behind the work that is done each and every day. From our Academic Innovation Department, Kathy Price is our Executive Director of Educator Effectiveness, and she exudes energy and passion for professional development. She is not the exception, she's the rule. Kelly Johnson, Executive Director of Secondary Education, and Patty Whittington, Executive Director of Elementary Education, are the lead collaborators for 2 3-day teacher academies, one for elementary teachers and another for secondary educators, aptly titled EQUIP, which stands for Everyday Quality Instructional Practices at the Core. Together, as I'm sure they will attest, with many others, they planned and facilitated an intentional day conference devoted to sharing best practices for making teaching and learning fun and exciting. Now, while I may have a favorite teacher from my past, from my days as a young student, how many more would I have if my home district had committed itself wholeheartedly to relationships, relevance, and innovation? So several weeks ago as well, our district leadership attended a 3-day intensive leadership academy where relationships, relevance, and innovation were brought to life in everything we heard and saw. From a virtual goose chase activity that engaged us in healthy competition, I still think the cabinet won, and helped solidify our relationships with one another as members of the Johnston County Public Schools family, to expertly executed breakout sessions. Leadership was a rousing success. So much so that one of our business partners thought enough of us to sponsor breakfast one morning. The brains behind leadership were Jenna McKeel and Dana Jernigan. Each of these coworkers have set the bar so high that there'll be no limbo played here in the Johnston County Public Schools. Instead, we're demonstrating for our students our expectations for them. Don't lean back, lean in, and aim high. So I'd like for those coworkers to join me at the podium because, as I said, I'd like for you to put faces with names. These are the people behind the scenes who are making it work for our students. These and thousands of others, of course, but we will continue to do this month by month. So if you'll join me at the podium. And what I want to say is we're sure to continue to see the fruits of this continuous labor and want to publicly acknowledge the work in our Academic Innovation Department. So I know she didn't know I'm going to do this, but I'd like for Mrs. Price to offer any final thoughts about the work, just the work that is done on a daily basis because they're so passionate about what they do.
We are pretty passionate, and you know, for leadership on this side and for EQUIP on this side, it is a lot of hours and a lot of starting months and months before the event, trying to get quality facilitators, trying to acknowledge that, you know, our work is important and the work of our teachers is important, and we want to validate that in some way, in some capacity. And then with leadership, working with our principals and assistant principals and central office staff, getting everyone on board for JOCO 2020. You know, I think this group does a good job exemplifying that collaborative spirit of JOCO 2020 and the excitement that we can create in just working together. So Thank you for putting me on the spot. It's fun, and I think each of us, we wake up and we really enjoy what we do, and we're thankful that we're able to do it.
Good job.
You know, we just, I was just gonna say, we just finished Leadership Academy 3-4 weeks ago, but I dare say we're already making plans for the next summer. So it really takes that amount of time to make sure it's a successful event, one that's worthy of everybody's attendance. So come on around and shake hands.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson.
Great. Okay, you want it? Okay. Thank you. You want the rest of it?
Yes, so much.
Thank you. You don't want no rest of it.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All
Thank
that you
you.
do.
Okay, I'll get you some. Oh, yeah, I wanted that.
Yes.
That is great. Oh, my goodness, that's wonderful. Thank you for what you, all of what you do. You do a lot. Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
I know.
War Eagle, right?
I do want to add that the equip activity is optional or voluntary. And in June at the elementary activity, there were 336 attendees, people who came out on their own. For secondary equip, which is going on now currently, there are over 200 secondary educators who have come out on their own.
Vice Chair Johnston had a good point. She said, are they getting paid? No. They volunteer the time. They have enough pride in their craft and improving classroom instruction that they give up a day of their summer with family and friends because they care enough about improving classroom instruction.
That's what I thought, and that's dedication.
Yes, ma'am.
And commitment.
Dedication and commitment.
I love that. I love it.
As I said, this is the rule, not the exception here in Johnston County Public Schools. And we want to acknowledge as well our Public Information Office staff, because you are well aware of this award-winning team. It's led by Tracy Peden-Jones, who is our Public Information Officer, and not only do they provide sound and technical assistance for our monthly Board of Education meetings and produce informational videos, but they're the masterminds behind our professionally rendered new website, our new Johnston County Public Schools logo, and the new JOCO 2020 vision logo, as you can see here. The website went live last week, and as in the world of education, we're in the mode of continuous improvement, so we'll continue to tweak that. But if you've not had a chance to look around the site, please do so and bookmark it and tell a friend. The web architects are our Director of Communication, Nathaniel Shelton, and if they'll join me at the podium as I call their names. I've already called your name, Tracy, so. Caitlin Honeycutt-Furr, who is our multimedia marketing specialist, and Nathaniel had to leave the sound room in order to come join us, and Jason Bullock, media production. As for the new logos, they were expertly designed by none other than the coworker I call Magic Magina Howell. She is our graphic designer and printing service manager, whose work is priceless. Here in the Johnston County Public Schools, nothing is done by chance. Our work is intentional. Their work supports the JOCO 2020 vision of relationships, relevance, and innovation. And in my business, PR, if you say it about 6 times, you won't forget it. So I think that's about 4, right? But at any rate, they take a team approach to doing their work well and ensure that the messages we craft and bring to life are relevant, creative, and innovative. From the Office of Communication and Engagement, Ms. Jones is going to take a moment to bring this celebration of relationships, relevance, and innovation home and lead us in saluting these coworkers who represent us all.
Well, I'm just going to say this. You're not going to find a better team anywhere. I apologize. Except for that team. You're not going to find a better team anywhere who can work together, who can read each other's minds, who know exactly what we need. And one of the things we talk about is not teachers. We're not teachers, but we're instructional leaders. So whether you're in the classroom or you're not in the classroom, you're still an instructional leader if you're a part of Johnston County Public Schools. But when I hired them, the one question I asked, because I hired every single one of these up here, and I'm very proud. I'm a great hirer. I hire well. I have no talents myself except for that one. I hire very well. When I hired them, the question I said was, and these are very talented professional people that we have brought in, whether it was from journalism, newspapers, TV, media, producing their own videos. We've got very highly qualified professionals. My question was, do you mind carrying a plant? Was it not? Yes. And all of them said, no. Well, first, what are you talking about? And I said, do you mind moving a plant? Fully understand that you're highly trained. You've got wonderful degrees. Do you have an issue picking up a plant and moving a plant? No. I said, okay, because that's what we do in the Public Information Office. We do whatever we got to do. So whether our job is video, whether our job is print services, whether our job is graphic design, our job is to make sure that everything is right and that we make Johnston County Public Schools look great no matter what's happening, whether it's moving a plant or putting a tablecloth on a table. And that is why this team is wonderful. Besides their special talents, they are here for Johnston County.
I wanted to say this too, because we all go, as board members, go to a lot of different functions.
And they're there.
And I tell the superintendent, and I was talking to Todd one day, I said, they're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. And all of them are in the same place. I'm like, how do you do it? But the way you carry yourself and your persona, I mean, you are the representation of this school system. You know, everybody says, am I important in my job? And I deal with this at the bank too. Everybody's important in their own way. But the way y'all present yourself, and you always got a smile on your face. I mean, you don't have the best hours in the world because you have to be everywhere to administer the information of this great school system to the public. But my perception of you, I'm not outside looking in. You always got a great personality, and I mean, that means the world. I can see the passion. We were talking about passion in the classroom today. Well, it starts right here. Every one of you got passion. You can see it in your face, and that goes a long, long way. And you did do a great job hiring these people. But that's with every employee I see as a board member. We can see the passion. You can cut it with a knife. In the school we were in today, you could cut the passion with a knife. There were tears shed. Just everybody loves we can tell that y'all love your jobs and you're in it for the right reason. To see students be successful, and this is a great part of it, and I just wanted to say that it's a blessing to have people like you working for the school system. I appreciate it. So.
And I agree with Ms. Roberts. They're magic.
Yep.
They are complete magic. Thank you.
I'm not shy. Hey, I know you. Hey, thanks.
Lunch, yeah, we got to do lunch. Thank you so much for what you do. You're great. Thank you. It's good to know you're a graphic designer. Thank you. You're on board. Thank you.
Thanks for everything you do.
I did. Yeah.
Let me know what you
Great comments. Very good.
Love the new logo.
Yes, I see you all the time, don't I? Congratulations. Great job. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for everything you do.
Appreciate it very much.
Oh, you do?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it very
I'll
much.
leave you all with a reminder about Convocation again, and you will see this team's great work because they have a fantastic video queued up for August 16th at Convocation. So
That's next week.
employees who are in the house, yes, next week, the 16th, and to our board members, we look forward to seeing you there because it's going to be a fantastic event. Thank you.
Just one correction. It wasn't one day. Their workshops were 3 days. Am I correct?
Yes.
3 days teachers gave up because it was quality stuff that they were getting. Thank you so
And
much.
plus, they were dedicated.
That's
They
right.
were, they had a desire to learn.
That's right.
More.
Very much.
I would just say, I think this is a neat thing to do, is
I do
to
too.
Recognize.
bring these departments,
Me too.
teams.
Yeah.
You know, they do so much work that you see the work, but you don't see them. And they're such great people, all of them.
You
So
see the
work
work,
so
but you don't
hard.
see the workers.
Uh,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where they all came from. They, place where they grow smart pills or something. I don't know. They are great.
They are.
September board meeting.
September board meeting will be September the 12th, 2017, at 2 p.m. Look forward to it.
Yes.
Dr. Renfro.
Mr. Chairman, yes, go ahead, ma'am.
No, I
All right. We'll make sure I didn't miss anything. Mr. Chairman, this time I ask that we enter executive session for the purpose of consulting with our board attorney and to discuss personnel items in accordance to North Carolina General Statutes 115C-319 and 143.318.11, subsections A1 and A3.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Renfro. I entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Butler Hall, second by Ronald Johnston. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate everything y'all do.
Thank y'all.